welcome to Prepping School 101. I am hoping that the information today will maybe potentially one day save your life. That is how important it is to be prepared. I always say it's better to be safe than sorry, and that's kind of the energy of getting prepared in general. And thank you so much for that super chat. Where do we even begin? I want to just kind of give you an overview right off the bat and say I'm going to be talking about getting prepared spiritually, energetically, getting prepared physically is really important as well. And then also, what do you need to know if you are living in the city versus living in the country? So, we're going to go over everything today, including equipment and gear. Okay. So I want to begin with this underlying anxiety, this intense restlessness that a lot of intuitive people have been feeling. I mean, I had to send an email to my bookkeeper and literally let her know all the extra expenses are because I'm preparing for the end of the world. I basically said it like that. And I was making a joke, but also I wanted to let her know why there was extra expenses. And she sent me this very surprising email back. Here is this, accountant in Middle America. And she said, "It's so funny that you say that because I've been feeling the need to prepare. I don't know what for, but every time I go to the grocery store, I'm buying extra cans of things. I'm dehydrating things. I'm feeling that too." And I've heard this from many kind of everyday people who don't consider themselves intuitive, don't consider themselves a starseed or empathic, and they're feeling this innate need to get prepared. And I hope and I kind of don't hope that all of you are feeling the same thing, okay? Because something is going to happen. Now, the first thing I want to mention is this video is not about the what is going to happen or the when is going to happen. This video is about being prepared for any scenario, okay? And I want to let you know too that I really do believe that a big event is going to take place. I'm not entirely sure what that's going to look like, and because of the different timelines that are constantly shifting, I'm not about to make predictions, but I have a very strong feeling that it's important that this time for sure is the time to get prepared. Okay. Now, hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, flooding, fires, you name it. Before a big event, there are a lot of minor events. So no matter where you are in the world, no matter how safe or secure that you feel, you should definitely have some semblance of a bug out bag or a preparation kit, okay? Even for these minor events, it's gonna really be beneficial. Now, I've been like a prepper since 2010, actually, since getting in contact with the Galactic Federation. They told me a lot of stuff was going to go down in my lifetime, and ever since then, I have been gung-ho on preparations. This is the time, more so than ever before, where I feel that urge once again. It subsided for a number of years, even though it was always in the back of my mind, but now it's like, boom, 150%, full throttle, let's go, let's make sure that we are prepared. I don't know if you guys are feeling that too, but I figured, a lot of you have messaged me on Instagram or reached out via email, even though I don't read my emails anymore, and have said, "Elizabeth, I want to get prepared, but it's so overwhelming, I don't even know where to start." And I completely understand that. So today is not about fear, it's not about doomsday, it's about the new earth, because we have to remind ourselves that breakdowns also equal breakthroughs. So as society is collapsing and breaking down, we are also breaking through some very intense vibrational frequencies, and we're going to talk about getting prepared spiritually as well as physically. So without further ado, yeah, let's just kind of get into it. Okay, so I want to start actually with a story, and it's actually a very kind of disappointing story. And the reason why is because I don't have all the information. I will tell you what I saw basically from what I can remember, but it's not much. And so you're going to be like a little bit disappointed. I'm a little bit disappointed. Last night, I went to bed and I really wasn't even thinking about this video. Like yesterday, I had this strong pull to put this video out there and say, you know what, people need a little bit of a push with preparations. And I really got this strong sense like the event is coming. Once again, don't know what's gonna come, but rather than safe than sorry, right? Rather be safe than sorry. So last night I had this dream, which definitely did not feel like a dream. It felt like a future vision, a future moment. All I remember, all I remember from this was basically something big happened on planet Earth. And as always, guys, take it or leave it, okay? Take it or leave any of this. Something big happened on planet Earth. So bizarre. And there was a lot of us. Okay, this is going to sound a little crazy. There was a lot, like a huge grouping of us on this spaceship. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, myself and all these channelers, we had pieces of the information about what was going to go down and how it was going to go down, but we didn't have the full picture. So I remember very innately, very intensely thinking that it's not that people got it wrong or channelers got it wrong or even myself got it wrong. It's that it was like all of the pieces of the things that we have gotten came together, obviously because things went down and it happened. Anyway, it was just, and so this morning I was like, oh my God, like actually I was writing notes for this live video and it came back to me, this vision and this like intense feeling of like, oh, this is how it happens. And it was also like, it felt very calming. Don't ask me why. And then I try and get back into the vision and I try and gather more details and more pieces of the information. Nothing. Like I went to my galactic guides, nothing. Like they wouldn't give me anything. And they literally told me there's a reason why you forgot. And I was so kicking myself and I tried for such a long time to push it. Could not get it. I could not. I really tried. I didn't even want to know. And I had that vision and yet it was only part of the vision. Anyway, sorry to disappoint. I'm disappointed. But yeah, it was definitely the pronounced feeling of, oh, this is how it happens. Yeah, and as far as like timelines, I don't even know. Definitely in this lifetime. I was definitely my human now, but okay, so things to note. Two main things, okay? One, please, 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 please stop getting hung up on the what and the when and the where. Stop it. And you know why I want to say stop it? Because the more that we are grabbing onto a date, the more we give our power away. The more that we need to know what it is and when it's happening, the more we procrastinate preparedness. Okay, I don't know about you, but like in university, I would wait to the very last day to actually hand in my paper, and it would be great every time. At least I thought it was great. But I am such a procrastinator. Okay, like so many of my friends who it's probably like, you know, the boy who cried wolf, right? In this kind of community it is of, you know, I've been prepping since 2010, 2011, 2012. And so my friends are like, "Oh, should I get prepared?" I'm like, "You're not? I've been telling you this for 10 years. Like how are you just waffling on this?" So I understand that you don't want to put out extra money these days because things are just downhill and people are suffering. And I get that. And it's hard to spend a couple extra dollars for the what if scenario. Yeah, but what if? Like, what if it does happen, right? Are you good? Like, do you feel like how badly would you be kicking yourself to get this information, to get prepared and not be prepared and then shit goes down? You don't want to be that person, okay? You really, really don't. So please let go of the what and the when. Just let it go. And you don't have to drop hundreds or thousands of dollars right off the top. Add to your prepping kit little by little. $10 here, $20 here. Add to your preserves, $10 here, 20. Pick up a couple extra cans every time you go grocery shopping. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Okay, so please get started somewhere. And if you're already started, fantastic. I was actually kind of giggling this morning to think that the Mennonites and the Mormons are for sure going to make it through whatever hits us, because the Mormons are amazing preppers. Don't know if you knew that, but they are. And the Mennonites, they don't rely on electricity. Like, they're back in, the 1800s. Like, they're good to go. So I was just kind of giggling. Like, they're definitely going to make it. Okay, so yeah, and like I kind of mentioned before, regardless of one big event happening, the world is shifting. Okay, Mother Gaia is changing. The environment is not collapsing, it's pretty much turning over. The environment is turning over. So even if you're not getting prepared for one big event, which you're like, oh, well, who cares? It's not happening now, and I'll just go down with the ship. That's fine. But get prepared for the minor events that you for sure will survive, but you're going to suffer if you're not prepared, right? Flooding, fires, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, political, economic, social unrest. Like, this is what we're gearing up for. And we cannot ignore this feeling or this restlessness or this anxiety of something's going to happen. Do you not feel that? Like, do you not feel that to the core of your being of like, something's about to happen? We're building up, okay? All right. So let's talk about getting prepared spiritually first, and then we'll talk about getting prepared physically, which is going to be the bulk of this. Okay, so I have two really, 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 really important things to note when getting prepared spiritually. That's it. If you stick with and you apply these two things that I'm going to suggest, I guarantee you are going to be able to handle and navigate the absolute insane craziness that is about and is hitting the planet right now. The craziness that I'm talking about is the flux of frequency. We are moving from a very low density, a very polarizing reality, a very limited, corrupt, matrix reality into an extremely expansive, if not overwhelming, quantum energy field where anything is and everything is possible. And we have the absolute freedom and free choice to be in that space, but we have to be prepared for it, okay? Hopefully you have a piece of paper and a pen. The first thing that you need to know when getting prepared spiritually, energetically, is this is what I call vibrational navigation. Practice vibrational navigation. Now, what I mean by this is it's not a new concept, but it is a definitely big download that just keeps coming through me. Practice vibrational navigation. When you're in a 3D conversation with a family, friend, whatever, hey, how's the weather? Oh, it's good. Oh, what about the V? Oh, it sucks. Yeah, I mean, do you have the V yet? I mean, it's like, it's brutal. When you're in those vibrations and your physical body, your energetic body, your emotional body start to react, maybe it's an emotional reaction, maybe it's a feeling of nausea, maybe it's you starting to sweat, maybe it's a spiritual reaction of like, I'm getting out of here, I'm leaving my body. There's going to be a reaction in those vibrations. Instead of allowing the environment to cause the reaction from within yourself, be aware that you can literally exit the scenario, okay? Not physically, spiritually. We need to be able, the only way that we're going to be able to ride the roller coaster that we've been experiencing, that will continue to progress, okay, of energy, is if we are able to connect and disconnect with any energy we are experiencing in the moment. It's not a disassociation, it's not an ignorance, it's not an autopilot. It's having conscious choice as to where your focus and energy is from moment to moment. It doesn't matter what your physical reality looks like. It doesn't matter who you're talking to or what you're talking about. You can choose to connect to that moment and be very present for it, or you can choose to disconnect from it and, be separated from it. You are going to get more triggered. You are going to experience more polarity. You are going to navigate more negativity. There's going to be more stuff energetically that you are going to have to navigate through. If you are fully connected to everything and fully attached to what you believe your reality is, you are going to waste a lot of energy fighting and pushing and pulling your the environmental frequency. Learn how to navigate vibration. Learn how to connect with the flower that you see. Learn how to create a positive, conversation. Learn how to disconnect in the moment, in the presence of people who do not align to your frequency. That is power. That is everything. That is full control of your consciousness. If you do not master vibrational navigation, you're in for a ride, okay? And it's not going to be fun for you. It's not. If you allow your frequency to just tune in to whatever frequency is in your environment, and I want to let you know that as starseeds is how we have been able to survive on this planet. Oh, cool, you want me to be a carpenter? I can be a carpenter. Oh, cool, you want me to be an energy healer? I can be an energy healer. Oh, cool, you want me to be a maintenance guy? I can be a maintenance guy, right? We have learned how to suffer through this reality, but essentially survive this reality by being chameleons, by playing the game. Okay, if you continue to play the game with your environment, you're going to continue to give away your power and really waste your energy. Moving forward, the game is on your terms. Moving forward, you get to choose what you're connected to, who you're connecting to, and what your focus is on. If you're reacting, if you're getting too caught up, if you're getting caught in the weeds, if you're spiraling, you're not in control of your frequency. You're allowing the outside world to take control of where you're at. That's not a good place to be, okay? Practice how to navigate your vibration. Big time. This is a skill that you will be able to take with you for the next 5 years and beyond. Okay? So important. And all it is I'm going to connect with this thing in this moment. I'm going to disconnect with this thing in this moment. It's on your terms. Straight up. Second spiritual advice that I give for how to get prepared energetically is be intentional. It's really simple. It sounds really simple, but it's pretty crazy. So one thing that I've noticed just in my own awareness and perception is if I'm about to have, say, for example, a tough conversation, my mind, as we do, okay, will start to rattle into, well, what if this happens? Well, what if this happens? Well, what, and it's almost like our mind contemplates all of the worst and best case scenarios of a situation so that we like help ourselves through potential disappointment, right? It's like, I'm not going to be disappointed because I've already thought of that before. We're protecting ourselves, okay? But we start to spiral in that sense. If you set an intention, instead of like, how is this conversation going to go? Only focus on the aftermath of the conversation. I want to feel elevated. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel neutral. I want to feel educated after this conversation. Not how is it going to go, not who is going to say what, not what do I need to say when. Well, what does it look like afterwards? Okay? When you wake up and you're like, what do I want this day to feel like at the end of my day? And you set that intention, how do I want this meal that I'm cooking to end up? If you set that intention, you will start to realize the power that you have. You will be completely prepared for the spiritual shift that is about to take place. Be intentional and practice vibrational navigation. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I want to say too, okay, just with like navigating vibrational energies, our psychic abilities are coming on like crazy, like really, really intense, which is amazing. That's what we wanted for so long. But it's to the point where you can feel ungrounded, you can feel overwhelmed, you can feel even anxious tuning into higher frequencies and then having to get back in your body to answer an email or make money or go to your 9 to 5. It's a lot. So also when navigating through vibrational frequencies, it's important to also not only ever just focus on the psychic abilities or not attach yourself to them, to make sure that you're getting into spiritual, getting into the psychic, experiencing your abilities, but getting back into your body, getting a good night's sleep, eating some yummy food, okay, playing with your dog, what have you. Super important. Just wanted to mention that. All right. Okay, so let's talk about getting prepared physically. Super important. We are physical beings. We are experiencing a very physical shift. And like I said, shit's kind of going down. So the first thing that I would recommend is do research on traditional living. Good question is, do you know how to start a fire without a lighter? If you don't, that's probably something good to know. Do you know how to preserve food without a fridge or freezer? If you don't, that's probably good to know. So there's a ton of really incredible YouTube channels out there. I can't think of any at the top of my head that really show off the grid living, how to live off the grid in a very sustainable way. Okay? So please do your research on traditional living. If you want to watch a YouTube video, watch something where you can gain access to a skill that you didn't already have. Okay. So I'm going to go through my bug out bag. Now this is a very small bag that I recommend all of you have in case of an emergency. Now, especially if you're in a city, one of the first things you probably want to do is get out of the city. I know a lot of starseeds and light workers have been moving actually recently in the past year, and I think that we're just feeling the call to have more space, and that's important. But hey, I know plenty of people that I love who are in the city, and I want to make sure that you city dwellers are just as prepared as we are out here in the rural kind of country. But also, I live, half of my time in the city in Los Angeles and half of my time in the middle of literally nowhere in Ontario. So so I'm kind of best of both worlds. I'm in between, and I feel like I know how to be prepared for both scenarios. So no matter if you live rural or you live in a city, please have a bug out bag. I'm going to go through my bug out bag. I'm going to show you whatever I have. And then also Lauren is going to, post a link related to, and Lauren will post it in the description as well, related to my Amazon list. You don't have to buy things from the Amazon list, but it's a very comprehensive overview of things to think about beyond a bug out bag that you should really just have at home. And I really tried to choose things that I've tried myself, but also are very, very attainable and definitely on the cheap end of things, but also good equipment. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go through this. Here is my bag. You can have literally any backpack. Backpacks are so useful. I also have a giant, 40-liter, 60-liter bag as well. I have a small bug out bag and a big bug out bag, but you really only need one, okay? So first thing that you want to have, maybe you want to take notes, I don't know. But like I said, most of this stuff is going to be in the Amazon list as well. Passport. You don't think about it, but if you're leaving your house in a hurry, you want to make sure that you have a passport, okay? Or at least some sort of form of identification, I think would be positive. Now, specifically, bug out bags are really important for city dwellers. If you're in a rural country, it's like, I'm just going to stay on my land or I'm just going to stay on my property. It's not a big deal, but especially when you want to be moving, you want a very small, lightweight kind of container with everything that you could possibly need in an emergency situation. This is a very small portion of really the prepping stuff that I do have that's sitting on the land, and we're going to talk about the extras on top of this as well. You want to make sure that you have something that's fire related. I recommend fire starters, flint sticks. You can't go wrong with that. If you have a lighter, it could get wet. It could run out of fuel. You want to make sure you have some sort of flint. Let's see. Cord. I mean, paracord. So many things. Fishing, tying, I don't know, hiking, whatever. It's good to have, all right? Oops. It's okay, PP. Abby's sleeping right beside me. Knife. It's just good to have a knife. It's such a great tool for so many different things. So highly recommend a knife. For me, I have actually in this little thing, silver. So you don't have to have silver, but I'm a big believer in precious metals. And I mean, at a certain point in time, maybe not in our lifetime, hopefully not, but that $20 bill, that $100 bill is not going to be even worth burning. It's not even going to be worth a fire starter. So just keeping that in mind. You want to make sure that you have access to clean water. I love the Life Straw. There are a ton of off-brands of the Life Straw. I don't trust them. I don't know. You got to go with the original on stuff like this that really does incorporate your health. So yeah, highly recommend a Life Straw. I think I left my water bottle over there, but I also recommend having an empty water bottle. Having a container that you can fill water in is always going to be really good and helpful. I want to mention too, if you don't want to get the Life Straw, there's actually tablets, water purification tablets that you can also put, but there's a limited capacity to what the tablets can do and how many tablets you can even bring with you and store. This, I think, does like 6,000 liters or 10,000 liters, something crazy. So that's going to be important. Okay, I have this little bag, and I have what is it called? Antibiotics in here. I have buttons, I have gum, I have Band-Aids, I have Mexican antibiotics, I have things for cold and flu, I have digestion things. I also always like bringing some sort of like acetaminophen or ibuprofen. Maybe you don't believe in that, that's totally fine, but having kind of a pain reliever is really good in worst case scenario. Also money. So I do have silver, but I also just bring cash. It's not a lot, but if shit goes down, you know, you want to have something on you as far as like trading, right? Just in case. Once again, no fear, just trying to just help you guys understand what's going to be needed. I do love echinacea. I highly recommend it. It is a prepper's best friend. If you don't know, echinacea is really great for colds, flus, immune boosting system, all of that. I also really love, and I'm kind of obsessed with it, is emergency vitamin C. It's literally 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So yeah, so definitely recommend that. Okay, so I don't know where you're at with protection. And I've definitely gone back and forth with protection myself. I love having knives. I love having machetes. I mean, you name it. I like blades. But I also realized, especially in America, not so much Canada, but everyone has a freaking gun in America. Personally, my personal opinion, I don't believe in guns, okay? Because they're just killing machines. But I do believe in protection in a worst case scenario. So what I recommend is, if you also don't believe in guns, if you believe in guns, definitely take a gun with you in your bug out bag. If you don't believe in guns, having a good knife on you for protection or defense, once again, hopefully it doesn't get there. But I'm also really into BB guns, but not just any BB guns, badass looking BB guns, so that if I were to get into a hairy situation, it would be kind of like nuclear proliferation. You have a gun, I have a gun, we're not going to touch each other. That's kind of what I would hope for. So I want to show you this. This might be triggering, I don't know. This is a BB gun. This is a fully loaded metal BB gun that I have that looks like a real gun. And it is CO2 operated. You can also get spring-loaded ones that look pretty badass as well. The only problem with having a CO2 BB is you need to have these CO2 12 milligram canisters with you, and then you also need the BB pellets as well. Of course, having a real gun, I'm sure you need, ammunition or what have you. Once again, that's really up to you, but it's up to you. Okay. First aid kit, super important. Honestly, just a generic first aid kit will do it. On the Amazon listing that I have, I actually listed a bunch of bug out bags that were already put together for you. So if you don't want to think about putting your own together and worry that you're going to miss something, there are bug out bags that are already put together in a backpack, good to go. Any sort of just kind of standard first aid kit is going to be a huge assistance just in case anything were to happen. What is this? An emergency sleeping bag. I also recommend, but I didn't put it in here, an emergency tent is really good. Like I mentioned, a lot of those bug out bags already have those available. Just in general, maybe you want to throw in some protein bars, some granola bars. That would be good. I also have these. It's basically like emergency food. The thing I like about this is it's got tons of calories or protein or whatever you need to last a while, and it's extremely, extremely compact. So this is good for a bug out bag. If you want to be prepping in a larger scale and you want to have stuff at home, food and water, hands down, are the main things that you want to have. Well, food, water, and also a way to cook food off grid. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. I'm just kind of going through the immediate bug out bag, which is a smaller version of what you could and should have at home. A flashlight is going to be really important as well. Obviously, batteries are kind of hard to come by. I have my favorite flashlight. It has a compass. It can even charge your cell phone. It's on the Amazon thing as well, and it's purely solar power based. It is my favorite. I loved it so much I bought two. It also has like a glass smasher as well and a seatbelt cutter, so they're great for the car. What else do I have? Some hot pads, always good, especially if you're in Four Seasons. I also have emergency drinking water. You really can't go wrong with just little packets of drinking water. Like I said, having something where you can filter your water and having a water bottle where you can carry your water are just things that we don't really think about that we can definitely bring and add into this package. What else? This is a flare, a road flare. If everyone's in a state of emergency, this isn't going to do too much, but this is really good just in case things do happen. And what I recommend is if you are in the city, I recommend packing your bug out bag and actually throwing it in your car. Now, for me in California, my biggest thought of having my bug out bag in the car is our car is in an underground garage. So if shit goes down and say the building collapses because because an earthquake happens, because it is LA, then my bug out bag is going to be completely unreachable and covered in the car. So you want to think about your location and think about the natural disasters that could potentially happen. This is one of my favorite things. This is on Amazon as well. I got this years ago. It's really just incredible as far as like an individual power source. I think it also has like a light as well, which is handy. What else do we have in here? Yes. So I also have pairs of socks. This is going to sound odd, but if you're a hiker, you know how important a good, warm, comfy change of socks is. In your bug out bag, I highly recommend, if you have two people in your family, two adults in your household, have two bug out bags, because then you know that two people can be carrying them. Socks, change of underwear, pants, jackets, even a windbreaker or a rain breaker, you can roll it up really tight, put it in your bug out bag, and you're going to be good to go. Okay. As far as communication, I really love this thing. It is a radio, but it does so much more. Not only is it a solar power radio, but it's a crank radio. It's a light. And what else does it do? And it also charges your phone too if you need it, which once again, you know, who knows if phone lines will be even accessible. And, oh yeah, okay, so this is really important. In the age of GPS, no one knows how to get anywhere. I am so directionally challenged. Here's what I recommend. As many maps as possible, okay? So check out your location, get a map of your location, and what I recommend is this right here is a printout map of a bug out location. So before we bought this property is now my bug out location. Many people do not have a bug out location. So what I recommend is maybe it's a national park. Maybe it's something in like high grounds if you're by the ocean. Maybe it's somewhere that doesn't experience earthquakes, or somewhere away from a volcano, or somewhere away from, you know, fires, whatever, okay? But please decide on a bug out location. Maybe you have a friend that has a property that's, you know, outside of the city, okay? Anything is better than the city. As far as a bug out location, anything. If you have a friend who lives in suburbia, you just let them know that you're printing a map to their place so that you can drive there step-by-step directions, okay? So I really highly recommend a bug out location. If you have a cottage, you know, same thing. Go to that place. Make sure you know how to get there is the most important thing. And if you have a property, or you have a location, or you have, you know, ideally like a, you know, a land with a structure on it, that would be fantastic. And you can tell your friends and family to also meet you there. Okay, so not just get prepared for yourself, but have everyone in your family prepared as well. Just say, hey, this might sound a little bit crazy, but if stuff goes down, meet me here. Okay, now the biggest question is like, when do you leave? Like, when do you actually go? What I recommend, okay, is if it's a minor emergency, if it's a tornado, if it's a flooding, if it's a fire, I call them minor, you know, emergencies, but they're quite big and they're happening all around the world right now, then you should be okay staying put. All right, you should be okay staying put. Things should kind of come back. When you know that it's a global event is when all cable, all internet, all electrical, everything is down. Okay, you will not be able to get a hold to call, you will have no service, and your power will be out. What I recommend is you stay 3 days in that environment. Once again, only when everything is out, only when it's out for everyone. You stay in that environment for 3 days, and then you make your way to your destination. Now, the other thing that you want to consider with your bug out location is, what about the mileage? What about the gas? How much gas do you need to get to that location, right? So you want to really think about all of these things in a just-in-case scenario. This isn't as important for people who are in the suburbs or people who are in a rural, you know, area. This is extremely important to know for people who dwell in the cities, okay? Super, super important, because people do not get very kind when shit goes down and they're not prepared. All right, and I think that's, yeah, that's pretty much it for my bug out bag. Like I said, a very small portion of what I really have. Oh yeah. And then this, I mean, you want to bring a book, but you want to bring the best book out there, so a little bit of read material will not hurt your bug out adventures. I literally was doing ads today and I was laughing at myself. I'm like, yeah, definitely going to add that to the bug out bag. Okay. Okay, good. So here are things that I recommend for city dwellers in particular. These apply to everyone, but specifically city dwellers. First things first, every single square foot of space that you have in your small city dwelling, okay, I want you to fill with preserves, food, pasta, you name it, and also water. I recommend those big 5-gallon jugs of water. Every time you go through that 5-gallon jug of water, fill it up. I don't even care if you fill it up with tap water, it's fluorinated water or whatever, but in the case of an emergency, you're gonna drink it, okay? So I also wanna mention too, that when things, okay, if shit were to basically hit the fan, the first thing that they recommend is filling up your bathtub. If you have a bathtub, filling up your sinks, filling up every container, every cup, every bowl with water, because water is the number one thing that we are going to need in that kind of case scenario, okay? So that's what I recommend. I love how literally me and my dad, when it was 2012, we were just entering into 2012 or something, January 1st, both of us filled up our bathtubs full of water for the just in case this is the end of the world. So funny. So yeah, so that's what I recommend. I highly, 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 highly recommend, especially if you're a city dweller, that you need a source of cooking. We think about water, we think about food. How are you going to cook your rice? How are you going to cook your pasta? How are you going to cook your freeze-dried meals? You need a source of cooking. I love barbecues. Barbecues are amazing. I love, like, for us here, like, we are so set up. We have a 1,000-liter propane tank. It's amazing, okay? But for everyone else in the city, I get it, because in Los Angeles, I think about all these things. What I recommend, and that's also on Amazon as well, is basically like a small propane burner. And they're super cheap if you get the really small ones. You can also get the camping propane. It's kind of like a portable barbecue. So you can get those as well. And then you're gonna need a decent stock of propane containers, okay? Because you need some sort of fuel source in that scenario. So that's something to think about, but how to cook your food is super important. I love gas stoves because if the electricity goes down, a lot of the time we still have gas, and so a gas stove is amazing because most likely it is going to work, but please do not just rely on it. Make sure barbecues are great. The big propane containers, the 30-liter, I think, propane containers, guess what? Propane never expires. Like, the expiry date on propane is like a lifetime, it lasts a lifetime. Guess what the expiry is on gas that you want to store? It's 3 months, okay? So you also want to think about fuel sources as well when it comes down to cooking, okay? Especially in a city. What else? Yep, off-grid heat source for food. Water, but not just water, but water filtration is really important. I love the Berkey. I know a lot of people talk about the Berkey. It's one of the best out there, and I think it'll filter like 60,000 gallons on one filtration. So, you're pretty good to go with the Berkey. That's also on Amazon. Okay, something that people rarely think about is extra sanitation methods. What if you can't flush the toilet in your apartment or your condo? What if you can't turn on, the water, right? What are you gonna do then? Having a bucket for multiple reasons is gonna be important, okay? And then having things like wet wipes, or having things like sanitizer, or having just even extra toilet paper. I know, like, the whole freaking toilet paper thing, but having those kind of things is going to be good, okay? It's going to be important. So just think about extra sanitation methods. Like I mentioned, protection is important as well. And then I also recommend, if you live in the city, a good source of city power would be solar power. You can have a generator, but generators are huge and loud, and definitely you can't plug a generator into an apartment or a condo. But there are amazing smaller solar power generators. And so I also recommend, whether you are rural or in the city, seeds. Okay, seeds. So important. You want to make sure that you can grow things. So in the city, do you have soil? Do you have pots? Do you have those kind of things as well? I personally, in Los Angeles, I love hydroponics. I understand that hydroponics also requires electricity, which is great that, you have a solar power generator or what have you. All right, so yeah, so just those are some things, extra things to think about in the city. For rural dwellers, the best thing about living away from the city is most likely you live in a house, and that means that you have a lot more space to store stuff. So for me, it went from having a box of food in my closet for many, many years because I lived in such a small place. My place in West Hollywood is hilarious because from floor to ceiling, all of my closet space is lit up by food and preserves and water. So that's, you just fill the space that you have. Okay, so for people in rural areas, amazing way to go. You're away from the city. That is huge, 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 huge. The biggest thing is understand how your systems work without hydro. So for me, I have well water, which is amazing. Woohoo, we got infinite water from the ground. But guess what? The well works off of a pump, which works off of electricity. So if the electrical is down, we're not flushing our toilets. We're not getting any water from our taps, even though we have a well. So if you're in the rural communities, please understand how your systems work and how you need to set up your systems in an appropriate way. Super important. So also like, if you're in the rural area and you have property or land or even a backyard, understand how off-grid systems work. Like, hey, the fridge doesn't work because we don't have electricity, so what do? Do you know how to make an in-ground cold cellar? Something great to think about. Once again, do you know how to start a fire? If you know how to start a fire, you know how to boil water and cook food and those kind of things. A wood oven, things like that, okay? And yeah, same thing, if you're in the rural or the city, I really do recommend a garden or at least having equipment or material to make a garden for a longer term survival scenario. And then I also recommend for rural dwellers to have chickens. I definitely recommend chickens. Chickens are a great source of really everything. I don't have chickens. I would have no idea how to even raise chickens. But we have a neighbor right beside us who has a ton of chickens, and we're always hearing the roosters, cackling all day. And I know I could walk over and ask him for some chickens if stuff goes down. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So once again, guys, it's not about fear. It's about being prepared and being safe rather than sorry. And the other thing I want to mention is, most likely, if you're listening to this, you have a lot of friends and family who are not listening to this, who are not on board, who think that you're crazy for getting prepared, and that is totally okay. The problem is that the people who think you are crazy for getting prepared are not prepared themselves, which means that if stuff hits the fan, they're going to be coming to you because you're the crazy one who is prepared. So I don't want you to feel extra burdened, but I do want you to take that responsibility a little bit, okay? Because there's only so much we can do. One last thing is, this is what the Galactic Federation said more than a year ago, and I asked them about how to be financially set if stuff were to, go down. And they basically said to diversify your assets, to have a quarter or a portion of your financial assets in precious metals in your hand, not in a freaking safe somewhere or a safety deposit box. This is BS, okay? Have precious metals in your hand. Cash, yeah, it may or may not work, but, cash is really king in this society, so have physical cash on you. Of course, have, some money in the bank accounts, but hey, what is that going to do for you if stuff goes down? And then the fourth kind of asset to diversify is take a portion of your money and put it into getting prepared. And the thing is, I would much rather have as many of you prepared if stuff happens as possible rather than not letting you in on a big portion of my life, because a big portion of my life is getting prepared. And I think that it's no coincidence that I have access to the information that I have access to, and I've also simultaneously been an extremely intense prepper. I wouldn't even call myself extremely intense. I'm definitely not even close to the people online who are like real professional preppers. But it's been on my mind, and it's been on my mind more so now than ever before. So please heed this call. Do not procrastinate anymore, and start slowly but surely building up whatever it is that you can manage, and hopefully you've learned something today. Hopefully you can take some of my advice. You don't have to take it all, but I'm just trying to make sure that you're safe and that we can really grow the new earth frequencies in the highest vibration. Okay, so definitely be sure to check out the Amazon listing just to get some ideas on maybe what you have, what you're missing, what's good to think about, and those kind of things. Other than that, really, really appreciate all of you being here. I did just release an epic new how-to video, how to make a chi ball, a psi ball for my members, so definitely check that out. And then members, please check out the coaching call too that just went down. It was so much fun. I learned so much. It was just really incredible. So please check that out. It's uploaded to YouTube now in the members only section. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your Monday. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the vibes of the full moon. Set your intentions, get prepared, and navigate your vibration. I will see all of you in the fifth dimension frequency.